down to not just like, what you're seeing on a report. So I don't just want to stick to metrics alone and, getting overwhelmed with, okay, like what data points do I have to have them pull and how am I dissecting that? It's more of just like when you engage with your agency or, a vendor partner, whatever you want to call them, are they coming to you with recommendations and recommendations that are simply just based on strategy? So, something that I like to see is, I hate this expression, but I got to use it. There's two ways to skin a cat. So a lot of times there's, a couple different channels you can leverage to drive awareness. But again, it comes down to looking at all of those channels and identifying, one, what works best for this particular client in this particular market and how they're consuming media. Two, have we tested anything else? That again, if my goal for this particular client is awareness, have I tested any other channels? And am I comparing those metrics? Am I using findings from other clients that I'm working with to say, hey, I've tested this in these 5 accounts. It's crushed it from a CPC, a reach, or frequency, impressions, whatever that is. That to me is like how I would want a client to hold us accountable. I think where we get into kind of like this danger zone is, if you're working with a partner and you've had static budgets for a year, that's a question mark for me is there opportunity that we might have been overlooking? Again, not just to always increase budget, but re-optimize. Like, have we moved things around? A lot of conversations that we've had this year already with a lot of clients is, their typical TV spend, they're just not getting the penetration that they're expecting. But we look at the CTV space and it's like, okay, CTV is outpacing traditional television. So we know that the audience is there and we can get it at this extremely cost-effective price. So look at these impressions versus, the channel that we know we're not getting the biggest bang for our buck for, and it's a little bit difficult to measure. Like those are the types of conversations where we know we want to accomplish this goal. What are the different ways we can do it? And, which channel is most effective? And sometimes it's just a conversation too about testing, and I think that's effective too. And not all tests should be in the green. It's,
Absolutely.
we tried this, we allocated some budget and it didn't work as effectively as we wanted it to.
Sarah, you hit exactly, there are 2 points that I was going to make as far as accountability. Just like in any relationship, it's that open dialogue, right? And so I would say as an advertiser, if you are choosing a company to work with, an agency to work with, making sure that you have that constant open dialogue, you're meeting as frequently as you are comfortable with, right? Some people want to meet every week. They want to look at things. They want to dive in. Some are like, okay, on a monthly basis, let's dive in. Having that consistent touch point and knowing that you can rely upon it and having an open dialogue, say what's working and what's not, is key. And I mean, Sarah, you hit it on, hit the nail on the head in saying one of the ways that I know that I can totally trust someone is when they've told me it messed up, that it was a fail, that it didn't, right? So when you hear those things, you're like, okay, it's not like you did, it's not necessarily that you did something wrong, but it didn't accomplish a goal. So let's pivot and let's do something else. And I think that's really key in playing in the ad space is, again, bringing it back to, what you're measuring, what those success metrics are. And if it's not working, you go back and figure it out and how to tweak it.